Hello, I'm Evan Brand, Certified Functional Medicine Practitioner. I'm talking with you today about ferritin. Ferritin is a protein that helps us to have adequate iron levels. Now, many patients will see that when they get their blood work that their iron levels are low, especially females. And also, if the lab is running ferritin levels, which sometimes conventional doctors are not running ferritin levels on blood work, they'll see that it's low. So we're going to talk about why that happens and what that can cause downstream in terms of your adrenal hormones and the connection with cortisol. So if we look here at our levels, so typically for like 20 to 40, this is the level that you're going to see on your reference range for your blood work. If your level is in between 20 and 40, you're going to be breathlessness. So I've talked with many females over the years that they say they just can't catch their breath. They're constantly trying to alleviate that sensation. So if we go a little bit higher up on the spectrum here and we're at 40 to 60, we're going to see something like hair loss. That can be very prevalent. That can also happen at the lower level, but that may be one of the main symptoms. So if you're in the shower, you're washing your hair, you're noticing, whoa, look at that clump of hair, it's likely that you could have low ferritin levels. Now, if we look at the 80 to 110 range, this is typically optimal range. And this is where you're going to see the regrowth of some lost hair. This is where you can see your energy levels rise because the iron levels are going to help you in terms of your adrenal function. And so cortisol, adrenals, hair function, this is all going to be improved if we can up those ferritin levels. So take a look at your last blood work. If it's on there, great. If it's not, it's something I would advise you get tested. So if we look at number 2, so this is going to be causes. So one is going to be heavy bleeding. So for menstruating women, this is something that's very common. So the first 1, 2, or 3rd day of their period, they may have excessive bleeding and you're losing blood. So therefore that iron/ferritin level is going to go down. Now, if you just had a baby, for example, my wife just had a child, she lost quite a lot of blood. So we can assume that her iron/ferritin levels have significantly dropped and we're taking the proper measures to boost those levels back up. So if you're a mother, it's likely that you've had some drop in those ferritin levels. Maybe they've restored themselves to their natural level, maybe not. So low hydrochloric acid. So this is another cause. If you saw my previous video on stomach acid, you'll know that gut infections, like bacterial infections, yeast problems, anything that causes inflammation or stress in the gut can deplete your body's ability to produce adequate levels of hydrochloric acid. If you have low stomach acid, it's probable that you're not taking your grass-fed meats or whatever type of proteins you're eating and you're not cleaving them, meaning you're not actually pulling the amino acids and the iron from the meat and therefore absorbing it. So if you have an issue in the gut, it's common that you're going to see these deficiencies as well. If we look for infections, I just talked about that. That's going to be the other piece for why I would suspect that someone has an issue with ferritin or iron levels. Also, if they say they can't catch their breath, they say they're losing hair, they say they have fatigue, if we run an adrenal profile test, we'll see they have adrenal fatigue, could be tied into this whole cascade here. So number 3, the first steps are going to be testing. So we talked about the blood test for ferritin. That's what you want to look for. You want to be back in that 80 to 110 range. And then we have to address it. So if we see that you're low, we need to boost that up. So typically the conventional doctors are going to give you a prescription, or yeah, it is a prescription. I was going to say over the counter, but it is written by a doctor on a pad that you go pick up at the pharmacy, and it's going to be ferrous sulfate. So if you look here, I'm looking out, making sure the birds aren't eating my strawberry patch right here. So if we look at ferrous sulfate, this is typically where you're going to get a prescription for it. The side effects with that can include nausea and constipation. So I really don't like ferrous sulfate. It's a very low quality way to boost up your iron and ferritin levels. So we do want to address that. There's several ways that you can do it. Using lactoferrin is one potential way. So we want to retest, because if you are not testing, then you're guessing. So it's very important that you take a look and take another look to see where you're at and make sure those levels are in the right place. And then you want to solve the issue. So a lot of times ferritin is just one piece of something that's wrong with someone. Typically there's going to be an adrenal picture as well, an adrenal fatigue situation. So if we see someone's cortisol levels, if we see that they're supposed to be in here, but they're flatlined low like this, you need iron to help to manufacture cortisol. So if you don't have the raw materials that you need to make cortisol, it's likely that your adrenal function is going to be low, like pictured here. And if you're on an adrenal program and you're not getting better, you've worked with a naturopath or integrative doctor, or maybe a functional practitioner, and they've not resolved your adrenal issues, if they haven't looked at the ferritin piece, this could be one reason why. So if you'd like to schedule a 15-minute free consult with myself, I'd love to talk with you about these symptoms. This is something very common. I see it multiple times per week in my clinic. I run a virtual wellness clinic, and you can schedule a 15-minute free phone call with myself by clicking on screen or clicking in the description below. This is Evan Brand signing out. I will talk with you in the next video. Thanks. Bye-bye.